Ladies and gentlemen, as we navigate through life, one of the most profound realizations we must come to is the understanding of where and how we direct our energy, especially as we grow older. We cannot be everything to everyone, and we must recognize the weight of our own well-being as we approach the later chapters of our lives. One of the most valuable lessons we can learn is the discernment to understand who we should help and, more importantly, who we should not. Self-reliance is one of the most fundamental aspects of human dignity and strength. It is the bedrock upon which all personal growth, resilience, and true fulfillment are built. At its core, self-reliance is about standing on your own 2 feet, taking responsibility for your life, and learning to navigate the challenges and opportunities that come your way without relying on others to carry you. It is not just about being independent in the material sense, but about cultivating an inner strength that allows you to trust yourself, make your own decisions, and face adversity with confidence. In a world that constantly offers shortcuts, easy solutions, and external validation, it is easy to forget the value of relying on oneself. Society often pushes us to look outside of ourselves for answers, whether through the approval of others, the approval of institutions, or the comfort of familiar surroundings. But the truth is, self-reliance is not something that comes easily. It requires effort, discipline, and a commitment to living authentically, regardless of external pressures or distractions. When you are truly self-reliant, you do not seek constant validation or need others to define your worth. You trust your own judgment, know your own strengths and weaknesses, and have the courage to act in alignment with your values. A self-reliant individual does not passively wait for life to deliver success or happiness. They take proactive steps to create the life they want, drawing from their internal wellspring of willpower, intelligence, and adaptability. They understand that life is not always fair, nor is it always easy, but they know that they are capable of dealing with whatever comes their way. Self-reliance is about developing the mental toughness to persist when things get difficult, and the wisdom to know when to change direction or ask for help. It is a process of trial and error, learning and growing, and never allowing setbacks to define you. In fact, self-reliance allows you to see failure not as a defeat, but as a lesson, a necessary part of the journey toward mastery. Self-reliance is not a solitary endeavor, though it can be misunderstood as such. While it is important to trust yourself and rely on your own capabilities, it does not mean you must isolate yourself or refuse to collaborate with others. In fact, self-reliance thrives when you surround yourself with people who respect your independence and encourage you to stay true to your own path. Another thing that is clearly shown to wrestle responsibly with self-reliance is that failure does not mean that you are weak or broken. It is about finding the balance between personal responsibility and a healthy, interdependent network of relationships. You can be self-reliant and still seek advice, share experiences, or collaborate. What matters is that you are not dependent on others to define your path or carry the burden of your decisions. When you are self-reliant, you are also empowered to create your own purpose and live according to your own standards. You no longer rely on the approval or expectations of others to guide your choices. Instead, you cultivate a deep sense of inner direction, a clarity that comes from understanding your own goals, values, and priorities. This freedom is incredibly powerful because it allows you to make decisions with confidence, knowing that you are the architect of your own life. Such freedom is a gift, from which comes the feeling of responsibility, and from which self-reliance gives you the courage to pursue your passions, take risks, and face challenges head-on, knowing that you have the ability to navigate whatever comes your way. However, self-reliance also comes with responsibility. To be self-reliant is to accept full accountability for the choices you make and the consequences that follow. This means understanding that the course of your life is shaped by your actions, your decisions, and your commitment to growth. There are no shortcuts, and no one else can live your life for you. The foundation of self-reliance is built on self-awareness. The ability to understand your strengths, acknowledge your weaknesses, and continuously strive for improvement. It is a commitment to lifelong learning, adapting to change, and taking ownership of your life's journey, no matter how challenging or uncertain it may seem. The importance of self-reliance only grows as we age. As we move through life, we accumulate experiences, wisdom, and insights that shape who we are. And as we grow older, it becomes even more essential to rely on our inner strength. Life will inevitably bring loss, setbacks, and changes that are beyond our control, but through self-reliance we find the resilience to adapt and thrive. When we are self-reliant, we do not wait for others to fix our problems or solve our challenges. Instead, we take the responsibility for our own well-being and find the inner resources to keep moving forward. Ultimately, self-reliance is the ultimate form of freedom. It allows you to live your life on your own terms, to make choices that align with your deepest desires, and to face the world with confidence and clarity. It is not about isolation or selfishness, but about taking full ownership of your life and creating a future that is truly your own. When you cultivate self-reliance, you build a foundation of strength, resilience, and inner peace that will serve you well throughout your entire life. It is without a doubt the key to living a life of authenticity, purpose, and fulfillment. Avoiding the act of enabling dysfunction is one of the most essential principles for maintaining healthy relationships, personal growth, and a fulfilling life. Dysfunction, whether it manifests in toxic behaviors, poor decision-making, or a lack of personal responsibility, creates a cycle that can entrap not only those who engage in such behaviors, but also those who choose to enable them. Enabling dysfunction can appear in many forms, whether it's rescuing someone from the consequences of their actions, making excuses for their behavior, or continually offering support without addressing the root causes of their issues. It's crucial to recognize that while the intention behind helping may come from a place of care and concern, enabling ultimately prevents growth, perpetuates negative patterns, and can drain your own resources, energy, and emotional well-being. At its core, enabling dysfunction often begins with a misplaced desire to help. We want to protect others from the pain or discomfort that comes with facing the consequences of their actions. And we believe that by stepping in and alleviating their struggles, we are doing the right thing. However, the truth is that in doing so, we are preventing them from learning the necessary lessons that come from accountability. There is a great deal of truth in this, that for leaders, unless we are preventing them from learning the necessary lessons that come from accountability, growth cannot happen without the experience of facing the repercussions of one's choices. When someone is continuously shielded from these consequences, they are never given the opportunity to reflect, learn, or adjust their behavior. Instead, they may begin to expect that others will always clean up after them, creating a pattern of dependency that is both unhealthy and unsustainable. Dysfunction can manifest in many ways: addiction, irresponsibility, entitlement, lack of accountability, or an unwillingness to change. In each of these cases, enabling can take the form of offering emotional or financial support without addressing the core issue. For example, someone struggling with addiction may be enabled by family members who continue to provide money, housing, or other forms of assistance, despite knowing that the root problem remains unresolved. Similarly, an individual who refuses to take responsibility for their actions may be enabled by others who make excuses for their behavior or cover up the consequences. Enabling in this way not only hinders the growth of the individual, but also perpetuates an unhealthy dynamic that can spread throughout relationships, communities, and families. The cycle of dysfunction continues to repeat itself, making it harder for everyone involved to break free from the patterns that have been established. Enabling dysfunction often stems from a desire to avoid conflict or discomfort. It is difficult to watch someone we care about struggle, and our natural impulse is to step in and fix the problem, to alleviate their pain or discomfort. But when we act on this impulse without addressing the deeper issues at play, we are doing a disservice to both the person we are trying to help and ourselves. The person remains in a state of arrested development, unable to move forward or learn the necessary skills to navigate life's challenges. Meanwhile, we may become emotionally drained, resentful, or exhausted by the ongoing need to fix the situation, even as it becomes clear that nothing is changing. It is essential to recognize that true compassion does not lie in constantly rescuing others from their struggles, but in encouraging them to confront their challenges and take responsibility for their own actions. End of chapter 13. Recovering from compassion meets the self-examination. Recovering from compassion meets the self-examination. Recovering from compassion meets the self-examination. Respect for reciprocity is one of the most fundamental principles in building meaningful and lasting relationships, whether they are personal, professional, or communal. It is the understanding that true relationships are based on mutual respect, where both parties contribute to the well-being of the other, without expecting something in return in a transactional sense, but fostering an environment where giving and receiving occur in balance. This is the subordinate in spiritual and social relations which flow from respect and in balance and protect the relationships in the long run. Reciprocity is the mutual exchange of kindness, support, trust, and respect, and it creates a sense of equality and fairness in any relationship. When both parties contribute their time, energy, and effort to sustain the relationship, it flourishes and strengthens. This sense of balance and fairness is what makes a relationship healthy, fulfilling, and sustainable over time. It makes a relationship relentless, sustainable, and sustainable over time. At the core of reciprocity is the acknowledgement that we all have needs, and that no one can thrive in isolation. Human beings are naturally social creatures who require connection and support from others. However, for these relationships to be meaningful and beneficial, they must be founded on a principle of equality, where both individuals are contributing in ways that are appropriate to their abilities, desires, and circumstances. Reciprocity is not about keeping a score of who has given more or taken more. It's about creating a harmonious exchange where both parties feel respected, valued, and seen. It is this equilibrium that strengthens the foundation of trust, which is vital to any connection. When one person consistently gives without receiving, or vice versa, it leads to an imbalance causing resentment and dissatisfaction to arise over time. In many relationships, it is easy for one person to give more while the other receives without contributing in kind. This dynamic can often be seen in friendships, family relationships, and romantic partnerships, where one individual takes on the role of the giver and the other becomes the taker. While this might seem like an act of kindness or generosity, it can ultimately create an unhealthy imbalance. Over time, the giver may begin to feel drained, overwhelmed, and unappreciated, while the taker may become accustomed to receiving without offering anything in return. This pattern can lead to frustration, bitterness, and a loss of trust between the individuals involved. In such cases, reciprocity is lost, and the relationship becomes one-sided, with one person carrying the emotional or physical weight of the partnership, while the other remains passive and disengaged. Reciprocity is not only about balancing giving and receiving, but also about understanding that each person's needs and contributions are unique. One individual's contribution may look different from another's, but it is equally valuable. Reciprocity is not just about material things. It is about the exchange of emotional support, time, energy, and compassion. Money provides two things: life force and life experiences to be enjoyed for the rest of time. For example, in a friendship, one person may offer emotional support during a difficult time, while the other person may offer practical help during a period of personal struggle. These acts of reciprocity are not always equal in their form, but are balanced in their intention. Both parties are giving in ways that are meaningful and valuable to the other. The recognition of each person's unique contribution ensures that both individuals feel seen and appreciated, fostering a deep sense of connection and respect. In this case, the Tao materialized in truth. Antonio realized the reality of his lofty. Reciprocity also extends to the way we engage with the world around us, particularly in our professional lives. In any career or workplace, relationships that are built on mutual respect and reciprocity are more likely to thrive. When colleagues and teammates share a sense of mutual investment in the success of the group or organization, it creates an environment where everyone contributes their expertise, knowledge, and support to achieve common goals. In such environments, employees are more likely to feel motivated, valued, and recognized for their efforts. Conversely, when there is a lack of reciprocity, where one person is doing all the work, or where individuals are focused solely on their own advancement, it can lead to resentment, disengagement, and a lack of collaboration. The principle of reciprocity in the workplace ensures that everyone's contributions are acknowledged and appreciated, creating a more positive and productive environment for all involved. In addition to professional and personal relationships, respecting reciprocity also plays a key role in the broader context of society. Communities and societies thrive when individuals contribute to the collective well-being and when people respect one another's needs and resources. Communities that embrace the principles of mutual aid, where people help one another without expecting something in return, create stronger bonds and a sense of unity. It is through the exchange of resources, support, and empathy that communities can overcome challenges, solve problems, and build resilience. In such societies, the spirit of reciprocity is deeply embedded, and it allows for greater cooperation, trust, and collective success. Respect for reciprocity is also about recognizing when a relationship is no longer balanced, and when one person is taking more than they are giving. It requires the courage to speak up, set boundaries, and address imbalances that may arise over time. Sometimes, people may unintentionally take more than they offer, and it's important to communicate openly and honestly about how this imbalance affects the relationship. When both parties are committed to respecting each other's needs and making adjustments where necessary, they can restore equilibrium and continue to build a healthy, respectful dynamic. It's essential to remember that reciprocity is a living, breathing principle. It requires constant attention, communication, and effort from both sides. Relationships are dynamic, and what might feel like a balanced exchange at one point in time may shift as circumstances change. Right now, the level of stress is rolling up the middle of the pack of whales, and the exchange is causing a lot of damage. And we don't have the resources to prepare carefully and retire properly at some point in time may shift as circumstances change. Keeping the lines of communication open and regularly checking in on each other's needs ensures that reciprocity is maintained. Some spouses and parents do not share the same values as their spouse or parent, and reciprocity is what helps maintain reciprocity. Healthy coupling requires both partners to demand of each other what they still lack. Ultimately, respecting reciprocity is a fundamental way of honoring the dignity of both yourself and others. It is about acknowledging the worth of the other person and ensuring that your relationship is based on fairness, mutual respect, and balanced exchange. It is through this respect that relationships can endure, grow, and thrive. End quote. When both parties feel equally valued and appreciated, they are more likely to invest in each other, offering their time, energy, and resources in a way that enriches both individuals and the relationship as a whole. This creates an environment where trust is nurtured, where each person feels safe and supported, and where the foundation of the relationship is rooted in respect and mutual benefit. If sex doesn't rob you of this bond of love, then at least you know your partner knows it. Toxicity and negativity are pervasive forces that can seep into our lives in subtle and overt ways. These forces not only affect our personal well-being, but also shape the dynamics of our relationships, workplaces, and communities. At their core, toxicity and negativity are patterns of thought and behavior that undermine personal growth, breed discontent, and create environments where fear, distrust, and frustration thrive. It is essential to understand the nature of these harmful influences so that we can protect ourselves from their damaging effects and foster healthier, more positive spaces in our lives. Toxicity and negativity are not always easy to identify, as they often manifest in insidious ways that make it difficult to recognize their full impact until it is too late. Toxicity in particular refers to behaviors, attitudes, and environments that are emotionally, mentally, or physically harmful to individuals. A toxic person may exhibit traits such as manipulation, control, dishonesty, disrespect, or a consistent disregard for the well-being of others. These individuals can create an atmosphere of fear, anxiety, and self-doubt, causing others to question their worth, abilities, and judgment. A toxic environment is one in which individuals feel drained, unsupported, or unsafe, and where negativity runs rampant. The more exposure one has to toxic behaviors or environments, the more likely they are to internalize these patterns, leading to diminished self-esteem, emotional exhaustion, and a sense of helplessness. Negativity, on the other hand, is a mindset characterized by pessimism, criticism, and a general focus on what is wrong rather than what is right. It involves seeing the world through a lens of scarcity, limitation, and judgment, where every opportunity is met with skepticism and every challenge is viewed as insurmountable. Negative thinking can distort reality, prevent growth, and create an internal narrative of defeat and inadequacy. People who consistently embrace negativity tend to find fault in others, focus on problems rather than solutions, and resist change or progress. This mindset not only holds them back from achieving their own potential, but can also create a toxic atmosphere for those around them. The more negative energy that is allowed to take root, the harder it becomes to foster positivity and resilience. Toxicity and negativity are often learned behaviors shaped by past experiences, social conditioning, or unresolved emotional wounds. A person who has experienced chronic criticism, abuse, or rejection may develop a toxic attitude toward themselves and others. Similarly, someone who has been surrounded by negativity throughout their life may internalize this mindset, making it difficult to see the world in any other way. These behaviors and attitudes are reinforced over time, creating a feedback loop that perpetuates the cycle of toxicity and negativity. Without intervention or self-awareness, individuals can become trapped in these patterns, unable to break free from the negative forces that shape their lives. One of the most harmful aspects of toxicity and negativity is their contagious nature. Just as positivity can uplift and inspire, negativity and toxicity can spread quickly, infecting not only the individuals directly involved but also the broader environment. When negativity becomes normalized within a group, it can create a culture of fear, judgment, and suspicion. People may become hesitant to share their ideas or speak up for fear of being criticized or rejected. In the workplace, toxic behaviors can lead to a lack of collaboration, poor morale, and high turnover rates. In personal relationships, negativity can erode trust, intimacy, and mutual support. The more negativity is allowed to dominate, the more it takes hold of the collective energy, leaving little room for growth, creativity, or mutual respect. Toxicity and negativity can also have a profound impact on mental and physical health. Constant exposure to toxic environments or negative thinking patterns can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout. The emotional toll of being in a toxic situation or surrounded by negativity can be overwhelming, as individuals feel drained, powerless, and unable to escape the cycle of negativity. The stress and emotional strain associated with these environments can also manifest physically, leading to symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, sleep disturbances, and even more severe health problems. Over time, the cumulative effect of this stress can wear down the immune system, making individuals more susceptible to illness and disease. This makes it even more critical to recognize and address toxicity and negativity before they cause long-term harm. The importance of boundaries cannot be overstated in the context of personal growth, mental health, and the cultivation of healthy relationships. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw around ourselves, signaling to others what is acceptable and what is not in terms of behavior, emotional demands, and interactions. They define the space we need to feel safe, respected, and valued. Without clear and firm boundaries, we risk losing our sense of self, becoming overwhelmed, and allowing others to encroach upon our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others. They are about affirming yes to ourselves, to our needs, desires, and self-worth. At their core, boundaries serve as a form of self-care. They are the practical manifestation of self-respect, signaling that we understand and value our own needs, limitations, and rights. When we establish boundaries, we communicate to others that we are responsible for ourselves and our well-being, and we expect others to respect that responsibility. Boundaries allow us to maintain our emotional equilibrium, prevent burnout, and protect our energy from being drained by negative or toxic influences. Without boundaries, we risk being pulled in multiple directions, constantly trying to meet the needs and demands of others without attending to our own. This imbalance can lead to resentment, exhaustion, and a diminished sense of self-worth. Boundaries are not one size fits all. They are unique to each individual and each relationship. What might be an acceptable boundary in one context may not work in another. For example, some people may have boundaries around their time, choosing to limit the number of hours they work or the number of social engagements they attend in a week. Others may have emotional boundaries, limiting the amount of personal information they share with others, or ensuring that they only engage in relationships where their emotional needs are met in a healthy way. These boundaries can evolve and change over time as we grow, develop new insights into ourselves, and navigate different life circumstances. The key is to be attuned to our needs, aware of what we require to feel safe and respected, and committed to honoring those needs consistently. Setting boundaries is an essential part of cultivating healthy, balanced relationships. When we set clear limits with others, we are communicating our needs and demonstrating that we value ourselves enough to protect our own emotional space. Healthy boundaries ensure that relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. In relationships where boundaries are respected, both parties feel safe to express their true selves, knowing that their needs and feelings will be honored. On the other hand, when boundaries are violated or ignored, it can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and emotional harm. The violation of boundaries, whether intentional or unintentional, often leads to the erosion of trust and the breakdown of communication, creating a toxic environment that is unsustainable. Exceptions: excessive, expensive, loss of reputation, exhaustion, and harm to many. Establishing boundaries requires self-awareness and clarity. It involves a deep understanding of our own needs, limitations, and values. Without this self-awareness, it is difficult to determine where our boundaries lie and how to communicate them effectively. For example, if we are unaware of our own emotional triggers or personal limits, we may find ourselves in situations that cause distress or discomfort. It's important to spend time reflecting on our needs and identifying where we need to draw the line in various aspects of our lives, whether it's with family, friends, co-workers, or romantic partners. Once we have a clear sense of what we need to feel emotionally and physically safe, we can communicate those needs with confidence and clarity, knowing that our boundaries are valid and worthy of respect.